Welcome into another episode of the Laser Bros podcast. It is Wednesday, January 17th, 2024. We are your hosts, Logan and Luke Lazarchik. Big NBA trade, which we won't talk into about today, but Pascal Siakam getting traded to the Indiana Pacers
I
broke
like
earlier
that.
today. Yeah,
I
broke
like
earlier
that
today.
trade.
So I know I'm not too much in the NBA right now. I know Luke follows it much more closely than I do at this time of the year. At this time of the year, I'm all in on football, and with the playoffs, in full bloom, I'm fully all in on the playoffs in the NFL. But I know that trade, I bet that caught your attention pretty quickly. Caught mine because I was at work and I saw it. In general, how are you, and what was your main takeaway from the AFC wildcard weekend, which we will be also getting into later in this episode?
Doing good. I like to say I've had classes so far, but I haven't because Monday MLK Day, Tuesday Snow Day, and today I don't have classes on Wednesdays. So I have had no classes, and I got some work done today. Been pretty productive, I'd say. I've been pretty productive. But the playoffs were good. The playoffs first round was pretty solid. Could have been better. Felt like we were given a couple cool moments and stuff, but there's just not a lot of like edgier seat type of things going on.
Yeah, we'll get into it. That the wildcard weekend, and we'll also talk about a few topics from wildcard that weekend that stood out. Tua, Dak, and Eagles, kind of those teams just collapsed late season, and then of course we'll close out the episode with our divisional round predictions. For me, before we get into the first game of the wildcard round, it was kind of weird because I feel like most games are just 5 of the 6 games were just blowouts.
Yeah,
it wasn't really competitive. But with that, we'll start the first game of the weekend. The Texans. Sorry, hold on. The Texans dominate the Browns 45-14, and at halftime it's 24-14. But at that point, if you're a Browns fan, you still have a little hope because the defense did nothing to stop Texans' offense with C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the Texans did whatever they wanted to offensively throughout the entire game. But the game really ended after Joe Flacco threw 2 costly pick 6 interceptions in the second half that basically just blew the door open and sent the Browns packing. But if you're a Texans fan, you have to be more than happy of how this team has played this year and where they are at this point in the season.
Oh, yeah. First off, shout out Joe Flacco. That was a pretty cool storyline. I know you weren't as much into it, man, but I thought it was cool. They're driving down 10 in the second half. He throws that first pick 6. And just like, what are you doing? Just throw it away. But yeah, shout out Joe Flacco. But yeah, if you're the Texans, you are feeling so good. I think that you're going into this week with a little like, okay, now it's just house money. And you basically were against the Browns too, but Stroud was unfazed.
That was a home playoff game. I mean, there's some expectations there.
Yeah, I guess
when you're playing at home, there's much more pressure to win when you're at home.
Nico, defense, it's nothing special yet, but you got something building there. You obviously have a great offense. You hope that Bobby Slowick does not get hired anywhere, but I bet he does, especially if they do anything else spectacular. But you got a quarterback, you got your receiver, you have another receiver you don't even have. I mean, and there's missed opportunities. Remember that deep bomb to Collins he missed? I mean, it's looking up if you're Houston. Could you imagine being a Houston fan? I'm thinking the exact timeline. 2-3 years ago, you're 4-12. Deshaun Watson asked for trade, and then all the legal stuff with Deshaun Watson happens. Your owner is a mess. I mean, and then imagine being there. I think it shows in the NFL how quickly you can turn it around in the NFL. I think that's the one sport where, oddly enough, even though there's bigger rosters, 53-man rosters, and 11 guys on the field for your team at a time, you just turn around like that just with good coaching, a couple nice picks, and good culture. And they've turned around completely.
I think, especially what head starts and what kind of jump starts, that's a better word, jump starts, a team turning around is getting the head coach and quarterback right. And I think Texans got A+ at both positions. And C.J. Stroud, 16 of 21, 274 and 3 touchdowns, 0 sacks, which as a Browns fan, if defensively, that's probably the most disappointing part was the fact that
Yeah, you couldn't
didn't
get to him
create
at
any
all.
pressures. I mean, Myles Garrett was a non-factor. They absolutely just washed him out of this game. The offensive line held up, which I thought, Texans' offensive line is not fantastic, and I thought that they would get a little bit exposed against this Browns pass rush, but they held up. Laremy Tunsil got hurt, I think, midway through the game, but they were able to hold up. And Myles Garrett, I don't know, he's kind of disappeared the second half of this year. He's had one
I
sack.
wouldn't say disappeared. I
Okay.
don't. Sacks are not everything, man. He's favorite to be. He was favorite to be defense player of the year, end of the year for a reason.
Now, for the Texans looking forward, Noah Brown placed on IR. He's out for the rest of the playoff runs.
Yeah, that's
now
tough.
it's really Nico Collins, Brevin Jordan, John Mechie is going to have to step up. I know they're facing Baltimore anyways, but does that kind of make it pretty bleak for them to win, or do you still think that there's a chance that they can compete?
If you shut down Nico Collins with what they have right now, it's over.
I mean, C.J. Stroud's going to have to play another basically perfect game. I mean,
and you're asking a rookie to do that.
QBR. It's tough, especially on the road. It's tough. A lot of things I think are going against Houston right now because of injuries to the receiving core and just it's a really young team as well. And Baltimore's off a bye. It's tough.
If he beats the Ravens, it's otherworldly conversations we're going to start having about C.J. Stroud, and I just can't see it. It'd be too wild. It'd be too wild.
Let's play a quick game real quick before we move on to the next game. So we're gonna do the AFC quarterback.
Okay.
So it's gonna be C.J. Stroud so I'm gonna say a quarterback, and you're gonna tell me which one
for the future right now.
Yeah, no future. Like
I feel like
take next year into account and the future as well. Like just
it's fine. Right before you start, I feel like for most of the answers it'd be the same either way. Just funny.
Okay.
But
so let's start. I'm gonna try find us, and these are just AFC quarterbacks. So let's start within his own division. Let's go C.J. Stroud or Anthony Richardson.
It's Stroud, and there's no discussion.
Okay, I think I would agree with that as well. I still don't think because of Richardson's injuries, I don't think we know exactly what he is at this point, even though he was really good when he played. Okay, C.J. Stroud or Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, are we putting contracts into it as well?
Let's just do the player, and you could put contract a little bit into it. But let's do more player. Who do you believe in for the future that could actually elevate their team? This one's easy for me, by the way.
I know it's easy for you. It's one of your quarterbacks you dislike. Let me think about this.
Okay, I've never said I dislike Trevor. I think he's just overrated. I've never said I don't like the guy or like the quarterback.
Okay. But I gotta go CJ. I mean, I have to go CJ Stroud. It's wild. I still like Trevor, but he's shown enough like what the hell are you doing moments, and just like not winning enough where it's like Stroud won the division. I know in the Jags I don't think have a good roster, but I got to go Stroud.
Okay. This one may be a little bit more out there. I'm just going in order of divisions right now. CJ Stroud or Joe Burrow?
Burrow, Logan, come on.
Okay, I'm going in order. I'll probably say Burrow as well. But the thing with Burrow, though, the injuries.
But I'm taking at least for me, I'm taking my guarantees. The dude's been to the Super Bowl.
And this will be the last one. This will be the last one we do. Okay, if CJ Stroud ends up being Baltimore, does that affect that argument at all, or make you think a little bit harder about the Joe Burrow CJ Stroud conversation?
Maybe, but I'm still taking Joe Burrow.
This is the last one we're gonna do. I'm interested because this one I'm so torn on. CJ Stroud or Justin Herbert?
I knew he was gonna be Justin Herbert. I knew that's what you're gonna say. I'm still taking. Okay, Logan. Here's my thing about this question. Remember people like Carson Wentz? Carson Wentz was like the best player in football, and then just died. I'm not saying this is going to happen to CJ Stroud. It probably won't. It very, very likely won't. He's probably going to be a top 5 whatever quarterback in the NFL for his career. But I'm taking Herbert because I've seen it. I know he hasn't won as much, but I think it's a little different than Trevor. I think the Chargers are such a mess. I know the Jags are a mess too, so that's kind of tough to say. But just what I've seen, give me Justin. But if I were ranked like all the quarterbacks, like let's say Justin Herbert's 6th on my list. I don't know where he is. I'd have to look at it. If Herbert's 6th, yeah, Stroud's probably 7th. Okay. He's probably the worst quarterback of the people I take above Stroud in the whole NFL.
Okay, this is such a tough one. I'll answer it, and then we'll move on to the next game.
Oh,
This is so tough for me. I don't know. I think right now I'm going to lean Stroud just because Herbert. I don't see he doesn't play with that fire. If he played with a little bit of fire and he's played with the edge,
okay.
I think he has all the talent in the world.
I
But
can't hate
I
on
think
it.
Herbert's proved like he's been really good for 3 years now, 4 years now. So Stroud needs to show a little bit more. But right now, I think Stroud, especially if he wins and goes to AFC Championship game, I think you probably have to lean Stroud at this point.
Okay. Let me ask you. I'm not even going to talk about it because I think it's a dumb question. But Stroud or Lamar?
Oh, Lamar right now. I mean, Lamar's
Okay.
one.
Okay.
This will be two
I had to
MVP. It'll be
confirm.
two MVP if because he's gonna win. This will be his second MVP. But
Okay.
this weekend a lot of things could change. If I'll still say Lamar, of course. He's definitely proven over a long period of time to be better.
I needed to make
Okay.
sure. I couldn't fully.
All right. Next game.
Man.
We'll move on to the next game. We kind of got to a side conversation there. Next game, Chiefs, Dolphins. Chiefs dominate the Dolphins. Really, this game really wasn't in question to me, even starting out the game. Even before the game, we were watching a family, and they're like, "Oh, are you worried?" I'm like, "No." Have you watched Tua? Have you watched this offense in the cold weather? Have you watched this offense just in terms of going against good teams? They've been terrible. And really, the Dolphins, their whole game was just one play on an underthrown ball that Tyreek Hill came back to and scored on. They offered nothing and no challenges to the Chiefs defense. And the Chiefs, I predict the score of 26-17. So I was kind of in the ballpark. Kind of had the right idea. But Chiefs, defensively they dominated. Rashee Rice steps up, 8 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown. Kelsey still has over 70 yards, even though he struggled with catching the ball. And you kind of seen he's slowed down. Did this game give you any hope for Chiefs, to make a run, make good to Super Bowl, or is it still you're still staying pat at they may win this week and then they'll run to a bus on the Baltimore Ravens?
I mean, I think definitely higher of them than I did. Rashee Rice, I still think it's like you're way too dependent on a rookie who, if I'm correct, I think I saw on Twitter by someone that I need to start screenshotting these so I can say oh, I saw blah blah say it. But all his catches were on off coverage. And so
he ran a lot of crossing routes.
Yeah, I just still at the end, if a team mans up on him, I still haven't fully seen it yet. And that's tough for the number one target. Basically, at this point, the number one target with how Kelsey's been. Rice has been the number one target for 8 weeks or whatever. You'd have to look at it to pinpoint it. Their number one target to just be really succeeding on off coverage for the most part. So I think he looked better. Pacheco played well. His yards per carry went down after a lot of carries because then they just started compacting the middle. But I think of the Chiefs in a higher light, but they're still below a tier than the Ravens. I think it'd have to be something. It'd have to be quite the performance to beat the Ravens still, but it's possible.
Now, coming out of this game, I think we already know what the Chiefs are. We have our expectations. I think we're confident that if you have Mahomes, you can figure some things out, even if it's not, the most clean football. You still have Mahomes, you still have Andy Reid. On the Dolphin side of things, and I kind of want to get in this conversation, and we'll talk about Tua a little bit later. We'll dive in. But at this point, Tua, I think he's so limited as a quarterback. And I just don't know how Dolphins can move forward. I mean, next year maybe you can have him and pick up his 5th-year option, but I don't know how you sign this guy to.
Well, they already picked up the 5th year.
Well, they already did, yeah. But I don't know how you give to a contract at this point.
It sounds like they want to, but you never know. It could be
here's the thing. I don't really
coach GM speak.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was about to say. That I don't take a lot of what these people say into that much account because we've seen people before. Oh, we're committed to this guy. This guy's our future, and then a couple months later, we hear a big move that they trade off. They move off of him, or they make a trade to move up in the draft or something. I mean, Carson Wentz, we didn't think would ever. Once they get in the contract, we're like, okay, they're set for the next 5-6 years at quarterback, and then they draft Jalen Hurts, and we'll get into that a little bit later as well. You never know what happens. I mean, there's always these avenues to move out contracts, and I think Tua's still on his rookie contract, and I don't know he's gonna demand him and his agent are going to demand quarterback marketable money. They're not going to take. I don't think he's going to be like, I'm going to take 30 million, 35 million. I bet he's going to.
He's not taking 30.
Exactly. So am I going to pay him 40 million a year? No, I won't even pay him 35 a year.
The quarterback market is kind of ridiculous with how it's just get paid more. I guess that's sort of the name of the game, but I feel like too many quarterbacks are included in that now.
Well, yeah, I think it shouldn't just be if you're a quarterback, you should make the next highest dollar just because you're up for a contract.
It's tough, but who else? It's just, I know we'll talk about more later, but it's just tough about who you're going to get. So that's the real question for me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really tough situation for Miami because as much as I don't think Tua is the answer, it's also very hard to upgrade, especially when they're high 20, like 22nd overall pick in the draft. It's kind of hard. Do you want to move up? Do you want to wait till the quarterback slips to that spot? It's just a tough situation. So I don't know. For Miami, I think they're kind of in no man's land right now, especially in AFC East when you have Josh Allen.
Unless you
Aaron
go
Rodgers,
like all out for something.
Yeah, and Aaron Rodgers will come back. Jane Daniels may be a Patriot. It's tough. I mean, Miami, I think.
I don't think they're
even when you watch that game.
You think.
But when you watch that game, you could tell how much Mike McDaniel didn't necessarily trust to. I mean, they threw so many screens that game, and through 3 quarters, they had 150 yards of total offense.
No, yeah,
like it would. I don't know. I don't know what you do with Tua. As I said, I'm just not getting a contract. I'll let him play through his rookie contract, but I'm definitely making either a move in this draft or next offseason. We got to do something because we're wasting talent everywhere. I mean, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. I mean, this roster is very well built, but Tua, I think, is holding them back. Next game, another quarterback that's holding his team back, and another quarterback, and a quarterback that, man, if you ask me mid-October, I would say Packers are in the quarterback market this upcoming offseason.
For like the Drake May Caleb market.
Yeah, exactly. They were in this. They were in that realm of being a top 10 pick, and people were even saying they could be in the.
Them and the Eagles, man, they just completely switched it.
This game, and I know we picked this game last week, and we picked Cowboys to win. But I think we both had Packers covering, so we weren't expecting the Cowboys to run away with this. The Packers. I mean, it's 27-0. This game was over. This game was over at halftime, and I remember I sent you a text late first half when the Cowboys were driving. I'm like, this feels like Packers 20, Cowboys 14, early third quarter because the Cowboys had the ball to end first half, and they would get the ball started second half, and I thought they would get their offense going, and then Dak throws a costly pick. Jordan Love was fantastic in this game, and although I think Dak played poorly, I think most of this game is on the Cowboys' defense shoulders.
No, yeah. Oh, Jordan Love's so good. I can't believe it. It's Jordan Love. If you had that Stroud game, but if you did with the NFC quarterbacks, I was
actually going to do that.
I don't know. I don't think there's
like
anyone.
Because the thing is, the NFC quarterback
maybe still hurts. That's like a 50-50. But everyone else is Kyler, but I think I'm taking my shot with Love.
Stafford or Love?
Yeah, like let's say Stafford's old.
Okay.
I like Kirk, but Kirk's older.
Yeah, I was like these last few weeks, Jordan Love's been a really
it's cool.
And
it's
actually
cool
more than a few weeks. Yeah.
It's cool as hell to see. I think
Dallas. Go ahead.
I was going to say something. I think that just with the young roster, obviously that's what's being talked about all the time. Everyone, the young roster. I mean, I was wrong on LaFleur. I was like, oh, you should fire him. Yeah, that's my bad.
We talked about a couple weeks ago. If they don't make the playoffs this year and then they don't make it next year,
well, yeah, that's all done. That's all done. I mean, that conversation's worthless at this point. I mean, you're going into a Niners game. That'll be very, very tough. But them and the Texans are in a similar spot. But yeah, it's a mess. And then it's not a mess. It's great. But then the Cowboys, they're the mess. I'm more pessimistic about the Cowboys than the Dolphins.
Oh, I am
Um,
too. I'm on
uh,
board with you on that. I think both. Dak Prescott. Here's the reason why this situation is more bleak than Dolphins is that what you Dak is owed $60 million next year, and do I think he's close to a $60 million quarterback? No. Do I think he's close to a $50 million quarterback? No. And and there was rumors that he was going to get extension after this season because of his really good performance, which I thought was overstated because those really good performances came against pretty bad teams, which the Cowboys they've been a front runner team for quite a few years now. They beat up on the bad teams, and then when the playoffs come, they disappoint. And that was the same exact thing this week. I think Mike McCarthy's fired. Dan Quinn, I think his head coaching stock has plummeted. And I wouldn't have hired Dan Quinn as a head coach anyways. If I like Seattle, I'm like, you already have Pete Carroll. I want to change my culture a little bit. I don't know what you do. I think for Dallas, what they should do is they should consider trading Dak Prescott. And maybe
I don't know what you get, man.
it's tough. Let's say you
trade
go
for
to
the
Atlanta.
Dolphins?
Let's say you go to Atlanta. Do the Falcons give you the 9th pick or 8th pick? Do they give you, and then you use the 8th pick to either, take quarterback, trade up? What do you think? What do you think they do?
8th pick, Falcons. Well, I feel like if you go get like Dak, that means you have like Bill Belichick or Harbaugh, who they've each interviewed. I don't know that the
But
Falcons.
the thing is, if I'm a team, I'm not giving a top 10 pick away for Dak. That's the thing. But if I'm the Cowboys, I'm probably jumping all over that trade and sending it.
I mean, straight up for an 8th, I don't think that's a terrible trade. Like when Mel Kiper says Justin Fields, that's ridiculous.
Well,
that's stupid.
Yeah,
That's so stupid. But Dak, I don't even think Dak was that bad. Like he threw 2 picks. I get that.
Luke, the picks he threw.
No, they're bad. The Jair one was a little.
No, okay, but the pick 6, he had Brandon Cooks wide open on the inside.
Okay, yeah, but I'm not going to judge a man off of one throw.
I know, but that the game absolutely just ended on that play.
He never had a chance to win this game. I know he gets a lot of second half stuff, but okay, just hear me out.
He had 0 yards entering the second quarter. 0. I know the defense didn't.
It was a mess. Here's the thing. It was a mess. I think there's a thing. I know Mike McCarthy. I think he's getting a little too much hate, but I still think he could be worthy of being firing. I think people are reactionary and they're like, "Oh, he's terrible." He's not terrible. Their defense kind of got destroyed, and he wasn't great, obviously. But I'd fire Mike. I'd go get a second receiver, so Cooks is the 3.
I mean, yeah,
maybe
it's so
get a little better running back, or just like Pollard's not it. You don't need to go crazy for a running back. I'd give it another shot with Dak. I wouldn't be trading him. That's not the route I'd go. And here's the thing. We know Jerry's not doing it. I don't even know if Jerry's going to fire Mike. Jerry, he didn't fire Garrett for whatever. So I don't think there's going to be this mass Cowboys exodus of people. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know.
It's 3 straight years of 12-win seasons, but then you flame out the playoffs first game. And I know Dallas won a playoff game last year. It was against the Buccaneers, who are already. I mean, that game.
No, I get that, but I don't. It's so tough to get a quarterback unless you're sitting there at like pick 19. I don't even know what they are. 19, 20, 21.
That's what's tough is that. Yeah, I would trade him, but it's also at the same time you're taking a big risk because I don't know how it's gonna be tough to upgrade.
So you trade him. You trade him with.
If I get a top 10 pick, like if Falcons call me and they offer pick 8, I'm probably no. Okay, here's the thing. It would probably be more than
thing.
It would have to be more than the 8th pick. It would have to be like so. They would have to give me maybe one more first or a second so that I could.
But you were just saying that you wouldn't trade the 8th pick for Dak.
So no, I wouldn't. I'm saying Dallas.
It's a lot to give. I like Dak. That's a lot to give up for Dak. I mean, I bet people said this about Stafford, and then Stafford won a Super Bowl in the right system. Okay, my turn for my here's the thing. Okay, my turn for my here's the thing. Let's say you get the 8th pick and whatever else. Just in this weird hypothetical. Bill goes to Atlanta. He gets Dak, which I think would honestly that'd be pretty cool. But then what are you gonna do? Draft Michael Penix? I like Penix, but then we saw in the championship game, he's not fantastic with legit pressure. Penix may take
That's
2
why this whole
years.
it's
But yeah,
so tough
that's
because
why I think I'm not trading Dak.
personally, if you're gonna, I think at this point, because of Penix injury history and all that, I almost rather have Bo Nix. But picking Bo Nix at 8 would be a monumental reach.
And Bo
Like
Nix may take a couple of years. I
yeah,
think Dak's like a top 12 quarterback in this league right
that's
now.
why I would trade him. But it's also I understand that for the Cowboys, it's very tough to move Dak. And you don't really. They may not. I think they're trapped with him. I think
It's
they're pretty
just
much
it's
stuck
not
with him.
happening. They're not. He's
Yeah,
going
because
to be a
even his
Cowboy next
contract.
year.
I mean, who's going to that money that a team's got to take on as well? It's a lot of money for next year. I mean, $60 million next year.
Yeah, here's the thing.
It's tough.
He's a great leader. Seems like a great person. He's had some nice performances. He's had some not so nice performances. I'm not just going to give up on the dude. I like these quarterbacks like the
At this point,
Daks,
though, we
the
know what he
Kirks.
is. Every playoffs he's 2-5 in the playoffs.
People get better later. I get he loses in the playoffs, but he's had some like his rookie year when he lost against the Packers. Took 2 crazy field goals. I mean, this loss was probably
we're going
the
back to
worst
his
of them.
rookie year when he had a lot more
Yes,
around
but
him. When
I know,
when
but
you're making this much money, you're not going to have a superstar team around. And
I
here's the
get
thing.
that, but
Here's another thing.
he's not
Here's
going to
another
get
thing with,
another quarterback better than man. That's
here's
the
another thing
simple
with the
point.
Cowboys. You still have to pay Micah Parsons, CeeDee Lamb. They have, I think I saw they have like 8 free agents this offseason. Like Tyron Smith's a free agent. Okay.
Figure
They
it
haven't
out
figured it
as
out
you
in
go.
years. They haven't figured it out in years.
I know, but what are you going to do? Jerry Jones is old. He's not starting from scratch, man.
I'm
Dude
not
is
saying
old.
that. But I'm saying,
He
man,
wants to win.
you just keep hitting your head on the same wall over and over
Yep.
again.
Here's the thing. Maybe hit the coach. Coaching is so huge. Get the right coach. Okay, I don't think he's going to fire Mike, but me.
You don't think he's going to fire him?
How long did it take him to fire Jason Garrett? And he like loves Mike McCarthy.
I know, but when there's already rumors of Mike McCarthy may be out based on their playoff,
he's
those
not out
just come
yet
out.
though. He's not out yet though. And the thing is, at some point, the coaching carousel, someone's gonna get. Besides the Patriots who promote from within, which I think is pretty cool. You don't see that often. I think that's pretty cool, and how like is in the contract. But someone's gonna fall, and then the next one will fall. Maybe Ben Johnson still in the playoffs, and Bobby Slowick and Bill and Jim Harbaugh maybe using the NFL, stay with Michigan, whatever the heck that's going on. That's interesting storyline, but it's gonna happen sooner or later. So you gotta hurry the hell up and do it. And what I'd do, I'd fire Mike. I'd go get.
Oh, so you would fire Mike? Okay, I thought
I would fire Mike.
Okay, I heard wouldn't. I'm like, are you what?
No, I would, but I don't think it'll happen. I'd go for Bill, Ben Johnson, Bobby Slowick, or Jim Harbaugh.
I don't think Bill's a fit because I don't think he wants to deal with Jerry Jones. I think Jerry Jones is so overbearing.
I saw someone say like they're like pretty good friends now. Bill Belichick, if you were able to be like, hey, the Cowboys actually draft well, let me sit back. The Cowboys are actually pretty good at this. They know how to draft. I think that could work. Ben Johnson, maybe you get one of the best offensive minds. Same thing with Bobby Slowick. I know we were talking about last week, and you weren't sure if he'd get hired. That dude should be a head coach. He's too good, not missing out. And then Jim Harbaugh's Jim Harbaugh. He's been to a Super Bowl, won a national title. You get one of those 4. Just get another receiver. I think it could be a lot better.
All right, let's move on to the next game. We took a little bit of time on that one. Lions beat the Rams 24-23. Jared Goff game sealing throw to close out the game, which late in the game, it felt like the Lions were letting it slip by. The Rams had the ball.
I think they've done that a little bit. They've been slow when they're up.
Yeah, and I was like, man, if Rams somehow find a way to beat the Lions here, I think there's gonna be question marks about Jared Goff. But he came in the clutch and he iced the game with a completion to Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I think he's kind of solidified himself as a quarterback there for at least the next few years, at least.
You're right. That's right.
This game it really felt like this game was going to be like a 38-35 game first half. I believe the halftime score was like 21-17. And the Lions really had their way the whole entire first half. And The Rams, I mean, you could just watching that game, they just have much less talent than the Lions do. The Lions have a really
Mm-hmm.
stacked roster. Rams kind of figured out this year with the limited pieces that they had, and
No, I'm
it was
liking
impressive
them
to
for
make
next year, man.
it was impressive to make the playoffs. I mean, Puka, I think at this point is the best receiver on the team. Cooper Kupp's your number 2. I mean, Kupp was pretty non-existent in this game.
Yeah,
I think he had
Tutu's a legit number 3 now. Tutu's better than he
yeah.
was.
I think for the Rams, I don't think you have to make any drastic moves. I think you have the
Just
foundational pieces there. For the Lions, I'm really confident that they're in the NFC title game this weekend, and we'll get into picks later.
Yeah.
I'm really confident in the Lions this week, and I think, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, one of the best running back tandems in the league the last half of the season. They're basically splitting carries. I think David Montgomery's out carrying him like 150 to 146. I think that's what the carry count was.
And that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, basically a split workload. I think the Lions are in a really good spot, not just for this playoff run, but also next year if they keep drafting the way they are.
No, yeah. Goff is the perfect example, my brother, about how you can't just ship off all these quarterbacks. Because if it were up to you, Dolphins would have a new quarterback. The Lions would have one. Not now, but a few weeks ago. Cowboys would have a new one. The Vikings would have a new one. Probably even forgetting some other people you want gone. But there's just not. You got to be patient with these dudes. It happens. It works. You get into the right system. Goff, you may have thought McVay was the right guy for him. It just didn't fully work. And then he comes to Detroit, new situation. You got to be patient with guys. Sometimes it's a new situation. Sometimes it's the same situation. But patience, I think, is key. Obviously, limited, of course. You can't have a guy for 7 years who doesn't do jack, doesn't win a playoff game. But I digress on that. And Lions, I'm feeling good about the Lions. I mean, they do have a thing where in the second half, so I've realized they kind of slow down and teams crawl back in.
I think they get away from their game plan a little bit.
I bet something like that. But that's something they need to work on if they want to actually contend for the Super Bowl. But they're in a good spot. You get to face Tampa, who beat the hell out of the Eagles, but we'll get on that. But I like where they're at. And then what you were saying about the Rams, I mean, they drafted 2 nice defensive linemen this year, who each had around 10 sacks, a little less. Byron Young and blanking on the other name. I feel like that's my bad. But you also have Donald still, Kupp, Stafford, probably have some money. Kyron's great. The Rams next year, I don't know. I like it. I like the Rams. I know this more about right now, but the Rams next year I think could be a problem. They finally have a first-round pick. So who knows what they're going to do with that. They've drafted well in the other rounds. But I'm excited for them. But also the Lions. I think Lions have a shot at this NFC. I think they have a shot.
Yeah, I think it'd be a really interesting game if they play San Francisco because we've already seen Green Bay and Detroit play twice this year, so we kind of already know what that matchup would look like.
That'd be fun.
That would be fun, but I'd be really interested to see Lions against the 49ers. A thing I was thinking about the other day when I was thinking about the Lions and just NFC North in general, Jordan Love. So let's say Chicago takes Caleb Williams. So you have Caleb Williams, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, and let's say Vikings get. Let's say they keep Kirk Cousins for now. Let's say they keep Kirk Cousins. Rank those quarterbacks in order.
Well, off of next year, I mean Caleb's at 4. I'm sorry, I like Caleb, but you're 4. He's not the best.
Okay, let's do the next 2 years. Let's do next year and the following year.
I'm still putting Caleb at 4. I like Caleb a lot, but he showed some issues. I'm still putting him at 4, man. I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I'm not going to rank him ahead of 3 guys who all look like they're in that 8 to 15 range of top quarterbacks. So you can't just throw Caleb in there automatically. But I mean, what do I think? Let's say 3 years. I mean, 3 years.
I mean, nonetheless, I think the NFC North next year may be the most interesting division.
I mean, we say that about like AFC West a couple years ago, and then it fell apart.
No, but the NFC North, it can be stacked. There's so much talent. There's so much young talent in that division. The Vikings I think they'd probably be the 4th team.
Okay, your point about the quarterbacks does make a great point. That if the Bears keep Justin Fields, it will be so stupid.
No, I don't think
Justin Fields is not going to be better than any of those guys.
I think you take Caleb Williams. I mean, I think
And
I
it's
mean,
just
that goes
but
without
yeah,
saying,
but
I think.
Vikings will be fun. That'll be a good division. I mean,
Mhm.
I still think I really like Jordan Love, and as I said, I'd probably for the future take him first in the NFC quarterbacks.
All right,
But
let's
still,
do
he
that
still
before
needs to prove himself fully. He still needs to prove
before we
himself
move on
fully.
to the next game. Just pick right now. If you had to pick NFC North winner next year, who would it be?
Lions.
Lions still? Okay.
Yeah,
I
I'm riding with my guy MCDC, who I was so right about, by the way. Don't forget that, Logan. I was mocked.
okay.
Don't forget that.
Congratulations. Yep.
I do deserve the
Yep.
congratulations.
We'll move on to next game. I
Biting
don't know how
kneecaps
much
out here.
we want to dive into it because it was kind of just a bland game. The Bills win 31-17 over the Steelers. Steelers really didn't have a shot in this game. I mean, late on, they kind of were hanging around, but the game was 14-0, then it was 21-0.
Mhm.
Bills, can you take a lot from this game? Is there a lot that you take away from the Bills' perspective, or is it just they beat really a pretty much mediocre team that was already, you didn't
I,
have TJ Watt, poor quarterback play. What?
I
How
think
much?
it's.
How much of this
I
game
don't
can
think
you?
Mason Rudolph was that bad. Let's be first. Mason Rudolph wasn't that bad.
Well, I'm saying in general.
He was all right. He was all right. I think it's similar to the Chiefs one. But I think even a little better. Where I'm feeling good about Josh. Khalil Shakir was really good. Diggs got some involvement. Defense made some plays. Didn't even have Rasul Douglas. I know they lost their linebacker, but they'll just adjust. That's what they've been doing all year. They adjust. So you got to give them credit. When something happens, they work to fix it. So I think it's the same. I think you feel pretty good about the Bills. The Bills Chiefs, oddly enough, this is like in your head, like before the year, in your head, you're like, Bills Chiefs. Chiefs are the 1 seed. Bills are the 2 seed. You meet in the title game in Arrowhead, or maybe you even meet in Buffalo. This is pretty cool too, because neither of them are really the top dog right now, but we all know that they can be. And
Well, with
now
their
it's
quarterbacks, they can win any given week just
yeah,
based
but
on
now it's more
quarterback.
like which one of us two gets to show that we're the top dog next week against. So I think it's a great matchup. And then from the Steelers side, so remember there's all this Tomlin stuff, but then there's tweeted that Tomlin's probably staying with the Steelers. And they're talking about quarterbacks, a team that actually needs a new quarterback here. Mason Rudolph is fine, but you're not winning big games with Mason Rudolph. He's probably keep him as a backup. Kenny Pickett's probably not it. I know patience, but it's just like at this
I
time
don't
you
know if
move
I
off.
really see Steelers moving off. I think they should, but my God, they're not.
But to bench your future quarterback when he's healthy in a playoff game, that's not happening. I don't think you move on from that. So I think they're getting someone. I don't know. Russell Wilson. I feel like Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. It's like you're kind of
I would go
praying for
after
something.
Fields if I were them. I wouldn't go after Wilson. I just wouldn't.
Wilson's a vet though, but
Wilson feels like the same kind of category as he's court. Like he's not gonna. He's definitely better
yeah,
than
but
Pickett, but like he's not
he's
gonna.
played in. Wilson has played in huge games, and I know you could
That's
say stuff.
fantastic.
It's pretty nice
Okay,
trait to
okay,
have. Not
okay,
everyone's
but
done
the
it.
last 2 years he's been awful. I don't
No,
even
yeah,
care what he did
Denver's
this
been
year.
a Denver. He was solid this year. I think the Sean
A
Payton
lot of
thing is obviously a
checkdowns. A
mess.
lot of checkdowns.
Yes, but he also made some very nice throws. I think that he is a receiver just like George Pickens, who's very similar to Sutton. I think you need to figure out George Pickens, but I think they figure it out most of the time. But Wilson, Fields, Bo Nix is kind of a fun one in my head, but then I think everyone is gonna be like, is that just like another Kenny Pickett? But I think that Bo Nix definitely much
I
more
think
than
Bo Nix
Kenny
is much better than
Pickett.
Kenny Pickett.
No, I know, but
I
I'm just gonna say that's gonna be the outside looking in. Some people saying, and I don't know if they care about that. So that'll be a fun offseason storyline, and that's probably so. Yeah, my takeaways: Bills still look pretty good. Steelers interesting spot.
Yeah, Bills are they've been a pretty tricky team for me to read. I don't know how impressed I am by the win. I mean, they definitely controlled this game. There's just still something missing with Stephon Diggs. I don't know what it is, but there's just something. And they have so many injuries on defense where at some point I feel like that has to
I
take
mean,
its
but
toll.
they keep. You have to give them credit. They're
Well, no, of
figuring
course,
it out
because
as they
they're figuring
go.
out on the defensive side without their main
And the
pieces. But
Chiefs'
there's a
offense is not
chance.
someone where you need all these fantastic people
There's
to
a
beat
chance
them.
that are without their top 4 corners entering the season this week. So
White, are
and
you including Douglas in that?
yeah, Douglas, yeah, or
Well, he
not
didn't
entering the season, but
enter.
their top 4. Yeah, it's. I mean, I think there's. I don't know. At some point, I think it has to take its toll and kind of bite
I
them in
think
the end. But I think
it was good for them for Kyrie Lam to get a pick. I know it wasn't like the craziest play ever, but it's just a confidence booster. A lot of stuff's mental, so I think that was good for him. He's obviously talented, so that was big for them. And having someone like that get a little energy boost and who may have to be productive, that'd kind of be a wild story if he like makes a big play and like this weekend, it's like and he was like benched, not active, possibly cut.
yeah. You have anything else you want to add before I move on? I feel like I cut you off there.
No, it's just cool story. I think it could be a cool story.
Next game and last game of the wild card weekend: Buccaneers at Eagles Monday night. This game I feel like could have easily been 20-0 first quarter if the Buccaneers
Oh,
weren't
it could have
dropping
been
passes.
so much worse.
The Eagles, it felt like they came out and they already knew that their season was ending that night. There was no fire in that team, no competitive edge. There was no like
Nada.
Jalen Hurts just looked he's had a blank expression on his face the entire night. Nick Sirianni, I think, needs to be fired. And the Buccaneers, I mean, they took advantage of the Eagles basically sleepwalking. I mean, the tackling was horrendous by the Eagles defense. Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, 337 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 picks. Really good story for them this season. Win the division when they were literally the least favorite to win the division entering the season. Eagles, back half of the year, you can make the argument that they were the worst team in football.
Outside the Panthers.
Outside Panthers, yeah.
And,
So
maybe
they were bottom
maybe
five.
Washington. Honestly, yeah, top 3 worst team.
But that game felt like a 4-12 team that was just banking in their season.
Is
basically playing for the best pick possible. It was
so
terrible.
Similar to the Chiefs game where I just never thought the Eagles were going to win. After Tampa went up 10-0, I think, I was like, okay. I mean, I thought Tampa was going to Chiefs-Dolphins game.
Oh, okay.
Where it's just like you sort of knew.
You were talking about the game where Chiefs lost. Okay.
No, but I mean, they were broken. I think it's obvious they're broken. Now, this probably my most, okay, I think Fields, he's been injured.
You mean Hurts?
Hurts has been injured.
Ah, I see. You have Hurts.
Don't even start. Don't do that. Oh my God! If you even try to,
we were nowhere talking near Fields, and then you brought Fields. But go ahead.
We talked about him earlier with the Steelers, and we mentioned him. Stop it.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm gonna go ahead. But I think Jalen Hurts is still fine. I still trust in him. I still think he's a great quarterback. How great? Now that is up to question. I'm probably not as high as him as I was to start the year after that crazy Super Bowl performance. But I still believe in him, but I'd tear the coaching staff down. I'd tear it all down. The defensive side was just – I think the defensive side's worse than the offensive side.
There were clips I saw on Twitter of some of the plays that the Eagles ran, and their players are running into each other on a tight end screen pass where it's like, what is happening?
Aikman during the game, because they kept lining out in shotgun and sometimes 5 wide, and Tampa was blitzing the whole time. Bowles was just sending blitzes, and they just kept it. It's stubbornness. Brian Johnson, I can't believe he has a head coaching interview. Who was it? The Titans?
It was Tennessee.
Yeah. What are you? No. If I'm in that interview, I'm like, what happened? But he's gone. I mean, Patricia and
you just want to dive into our next segment? Should we just carry this over? Or is there?
I mean, okay, let's first talk about the Bucs. I mean, we kind of hit a lot of our stuff in our next segment while talking about the other games. But with the Bucs, you gotta be impressed. This is another thing. Another one, Logan, where quarterback patience, sometimes it works. I mean, Baker's road was wild. They had the Sean McVay quote, where Sean McVay
I
last
want
year
I
just told him to be
not sorry to
himself.
interrupt you, but I want to say you're the most patient quarterback person, just based on
Me?
history.
Me?
Yeah. Tom Brady throws one pick against the Chargers.
Okay,
He's
that's
done.
also a younger me, and I think
That was like
everyone
3
wanted.
years ago.
Okay, yes, that's a younger me. I've changed a lot since 3 years ago, Logan. I think I've changed quite a bit. Now, as I continue onward, let's first off, Tom Brady thing. Bucks are not playing too well, and Brady's like 41, 42. Everyone wanted Brady gone. It was like, I shouldn't have texted the group chat that, and then they went on to beat the Chargers. Let's not talk about it. But
And
as I
win a
was
Super Bowl.
yes, as I was saying,
Okay, go
it's
ahead.
it's cool to see Baker. I mean, he's in a great spot. The wild thing is, before he threw that touchdown ball to Godwin, where he sort of just said, "Godwin, go get it." They knew they were blitzing. Trey Palmer and David Moore had the 2 touchdowns. Pretty cool. Also, indictment on the
Both just some
Eagles.
majorly terrible tackling on both those
Rashad
touchdowns.
White, he doesn't have this great yards per carry, but you watch Rashad White, it's pretty good. Pretty
Mhm.
good. I think they have a nice team. I mean, I don't exactly know. I like Baker, and they should sign to extension because you literally, if you
Yeah, how
don't
much do you
re-sign Baker,
what do you
35. I mean, Cap's
a
going up every
year?
year. 35 a year in 2 years is not that bad, or even next year. I mean, Cap's always going up. 35's.
Man, I think I would do a 3-year deal, and I would do 3 years, 33 million a year, and I can get out of the contract after the second year. But that
I
doesn't
mean,
mean
no,
that
you,
I'm
you
going.
you don't fully commit that mug.
I think I'm doing like a 2-year deal with basically a third year that could be attached if you're still confident to use your quarterback. But I'm not committing
Team
to him more
option,
than 2 years.
maybe team
Yeah,
option or
definitely
something
team.
like that.
Yeah, like or you kind of front loaded
Mm-hmm.
so that you can easily get out of the last year of the contract, or
No,
you give him
yeah,
a big signing
I'm not.
bonus so
I'm
that
not giving him like this unlimited holy grail, but I don't know where exactly they get. As I was saying, I think you sign him. He may ask for 40, and you may have to end up giving him 40.
I'm not
Let's
doing
just
that.
say,
I'm
are
not
you
doing
gonna
that.
let him go? If Baker's on the open market, that's so fun. If Baker's on the open market after this, because maybe you have a team like the Steelers after him or the Falcons after him.
It's so I'm fine with like 32, 33, maybe 35, up to 35.
It's
I'm
just
not getting
7 more
40.
mil. Do you know what 7 mil is? It's Cedric Wilson. I'll pay 7 more mil.
Okay, go talk to the Giants. I know you're a Daniel Jones guy, but go talk to the Giants. Go
Yeah,
talk to the
okay.
Giants.
They
talk to him.
literally weren't affected at all that it was 40 instead of 33. He got hurt. Saquon was hurt while he was playing. He comes back. Saquon's hurt. Saquon comes back. He tears the ACL. That's a whole lot of other stuff. But sign him.
I would give him like 3 years, 95 or something like that.
3 years, 100 could be like a nice, like, oh, we're giving you 100 mil. Like a nice, like, oh.
But I think it's gonna be structured like the Geno Smith contract where you can get out of it after 2 years.
That's
I think
needs a quarterback. There's a lot of teams are in weird spots with quarterbacks, but
no,
just
I think there's a
moving
lot of
back.
teams in no man land where I don't know what you do.
Yeah, it is weird. But
Back
Tampa,
yeah, go talk about Tampa. I'm gonna go back to Eagles real quick.
yeah, I think they're in a nice spot. Your division's not great. You know the Panthers won't be better than you next year. They're a mess. They left their first overall pick out to dry, not just to dry. Like they left him out to dry, and then like they made it like the Sahara Desert, and like just gave him. He's like
Well, they
absolutely
gave him no
nothing.
resource, no water,
No
no like.
water. They actually took
Because the thing
off
is,
3 fingers while they were at it.
Because the thing is, they traded so many of their assets that it's basically impossible to build around in the draft.
No,
picks.
it's.
You basically have to overpay.
I
for
liked Bryce
better
Young, but
free
even
agents.
at the time, I went, DJ Moore. Could you not have kept DJ Moore? Damn, man. Like if
I
DJ
remember
Moore is
we had
on,
this conversation last year about should the Bears take Bryce Young or Justin Fields, and I said trade the pick. I mean, they
okay,
got
I didn't know
Paul.
they were gonna get this. This is kind of nuts, but this whole nother discussion again. Back to Tampa. Keep getting off Tampa. I like where they're at. Mike Evans will be a question. They have some veteran defense players who will be a question. I feel like what they should do, keep Mike and then go for another big move. I don't know what it is.
How much
Go,
does Mike make? How much do you think Mike makes?
It's gonna be a lot.
actually disagree. I think we disagree a lot about
I
the
think it's
price
gonna
range
be
on
a
this.
lot. It's gonna be it's gonna
You
be
also take
high
account his
20s.
age. He's gonna be 32. He's not
And
gonna make 30 million.
he's maybe not 30, but 20. Okay. He's gonna be above 26 million.
No, I think he's in the ballpark of 23 to 25. I think the age thing. If he was,
He's
let's say,
above
if he was 28,
but you're not signing him to a 5-year deal, probably. You probably
so
sign him to like a 2
so
or 3.
I'm gonna let this guy take 30 million of my cap.
Logan, he's gotten over 1,000 yards every year
Okay,
he's
but when you
played.
give a player a contract, you're also projecting.
I'm just telling you what
they're
he's gonna get, man. It's what he's gonna get.
I'm gonna say 22 to 24. That's somewhere in that ballpark.
You're wrong. I believe. Well, a couple months, I'll be able to tell
Yeah.
you were wrong. But you got,
Yeah,
in my
right.
opinion, you do that. I mean, you still got this Lions game, which is winnable. The Lions are not a perfect team. If you win this game, then it's just like, oh my goodness! Like if the Bucks are in the title game, it's just like the Niners, who, assuming Niners beat Packers, they're just like, thank God, this is nice.
No,
Like
Niners,
nothing against them,
kind of,
but
yeah, like Niners. I mean, I think NFC in general is kind of weekend. May be the wrong word, but when you look at it, I mean, Dallas frauds, Eagles collapse, Tampa. Great story. I don't think they're a contender. It's really the Lions and 49ers and a bunch of.
it's wild. The
B,
NFC, the underdog almost won every game. Tampa was the underdog. Packers won, and Rams were the underdog.
I mean, yeah,
Rams.
I think NFC. I don't know. I think it's just
I don't
a
see how the
B
Niners.
team.
The Niners don't make it out. You got to be pissed.
If Niners don't make it out, it's going to be, and I know it. I'm just gonna say it's going to be because Brock Purdy came up short. That's what it's gonna be. I don't think you can make an argument.
Okay,
for that.
man. Maybe.
I'm not saying it's gonna happen.
You're probably right. You're probably right. That's probably
okay.
how
I'm not trying to say what's gonna happen. I'm saying if they lose and they have no excuse to not be. If they lose this week, there's really no excuses.
If they lose this week, I just don't see it. But that'd be nuts.
Back to Eagles, and then we'll move on. Do we want to do this next segment, or do we just want to move into division?
I mean, we basically have done this next segment.
Okay.
We talked about. So let's just continue with the Eagles.
I want to say something really quick about the Eagles. I said it mid-year. What does Sirianni do well? And I was scoffed at. I was
okay. I took my MCDC win. You can have it.
Okay. Here's another thing. So I'll say one more thing about Sirianni. So his first year as head coach, he was a play caller. It was terrible. Or second year. Was it second year or first year?
This is his third year.
So it was his first year's. Yeah, first year's coach. He was play caller. They refused to run the ball. They were actually getting booed at home, and fans were saying, run the ball. And then he hands over the play call to Shane Steichen, and the team takes off. It's the same exact thing this year. There's a stretch in this Tampa game. They threw the ball on 13 of 14 plays.
No, it's unexcusable.
When Jalen Hurts, we know, is banged up, which that's another thing I don't like Sirianni. Your quarterback's banged up, and you still use him as if he's 100% healthy. There's no A.J. Brown. Run the ball. Lean on your offensive line. And another thing with the Eagles, their future, I don't know. This is actually a really old roster. Offensive line, Jason Kelce probably retiring. Lane Johnson's up there in age. Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox. There's a lot of old players on this team. And they kind of went all in on the Georgia Bulldog formula of let's just draft Georgia players, which will work out their front seven with their 2 defensive tackles. But it's a really old team. I don't know. It's tough. Like next year, I think them and Dallas, those two should be easily the top 2 teams in the NFC East. If the Giants and Washington make really good really smart moves, not just splash moves, but really smart football moves and nail their first-round picks, those two, I would not be surprised if one of those 2 teams not win the division, but kind of challenge these other 2 teams to win.
Danny Dimes. Okay,
with the Eagles, Jalen Hurts. One more point about Jalen Hurts. Could last year been an anomaly? First year, there's a lot of question marks about him. Then next year he pops, and he hasn't lit the world on fire throwing wise. Now the Super Bowl, he lit the Chiefs defense. He made throw after throw. That was super impressive. But throughout his career, he has not lit it up from a passing standpoint. He's been good on the ground. He's added touchdowns on the ground as well. But as a thrower, I don't know. I don't see his quarterback that's going to dissect you consistently from the pocket. And
Okay.
he's had one good year. The other 2 years have looked exactly
Can I go on my Jalen Hurts thing?
Yeah.
I believe in Jalen Hurts. I think that as I said earlier, he's been injured. Also, let me segue slightly and go back on it. Coaches or even quarterbacks, if you're hurt and you're like 6-1, and this will affect you the whole dang year, or if it's the start of the season, Joe Burrow, just take a couple weeks off. Is your locker room really going to think
Eagles this
you're
year,
a wimp?
There's a stretch after the bye week, I believe, where they play like Bills, Chiefs. Like their schedule was
They could have played Mariota right before the bye week, like 2 weeks.
Exactly, rest them, and then
also you sign Mariota. He's not great. He's a vet. He's a
that's
vet.
Why,
he can handle it.
Tush push play. Your quarterback is hurt. I don't.
Maybe. I mean, who knows with that? Who knows? I don't know. But I'm not going to go on the tush push thing. But rest your quarterbacks if you have to, man. Just do it. You're like 7-1. Mariota can run your offense. Yeah, that's my thing. And before he was hurt, back to truly Jalen Hurts. I mean, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are playing pretty good football. Hurts playing pretty good football to start the year. I still believe in Hurts. I think it's a coaching thing. You were right on the coaching. I was wrong. And I think I would just fully go. I'd fire everyone. I'd fire everyone. And I'd say, again, I go for a young OC.
Ben Slowick kind of feels like an evil coach. I don't know why, but he kind of feels like one.
I like Belichick. I did see that like the Jeffrey Lurie doesn't like Belichick.
He doesn't like him.
Yeah, so that's not going to happen. I think
Ben Slowick. I think you try to get ahead of the curve and get Slowick. Because I think Ben Johnson's too popular a name where there's too much competition. I think Ben Slowick, you kind of go under. He's definitely picked up steam, but I still think he's like. It's like moving off a player 1 year too early, or gain a player 1 year before they pop. I think that's what I would do from the Eagles. Ben Slowick is the guy who I would go after.
I like Hurts, but I think it's important with him after this year to get him an offensive guy. I think with some situations you still go defensive. I know you're big on, but I think now this spot offensive, Johnson or Slowick, and that's the way I'd move. And then you're talking about the old players, that's a problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm assuming Kelsey's gone. I mean, Fletcher Cox wasn't even that good this year. You have to hope that Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith,
Jalen Carter. I mean, those guys
Carter, they all take steps and get better. And if that happens, you can still have a great front. And then the back end, I mean, you drafted Ringo, but you probably drafting cornerback first round.
Oh, you have to. You have to go somewhere secondary.
And then, then if you go to the O-line, I think they'll still be fine. They still have good talent. Dickinson, they have Jordan. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the last name. You still have talent there, so I don't think they're going to be deprived. You need to make sure you get A.J. Brown kind of leashed back in. Leashed is the wrong word. It's not the right word, but just because he got really
pulling
pissed
back in because
he got pissed at the end of the year. He's deleted stuff from Instagram, so you need to come back with your new coach and be like, okay, I know you were pissed, but we're going to figure this out. Run the ball more next year. I mean, let's say you hire Slowick. I mean, he made Singletary like a top 10 back the second half of the year.
Yeah, it's an interesting situation, and I think if Hurts has another year where he's kind of subpar, I think there's time to be really concerned.
Yes, another year I'd be concerned, but I still believe in him. If you'd have two quarterbacks, first Wentz and then Hurts, you each thought were franchise guys, and then they turn out to be just short-lived franchise guys, that hurt. And the guy who wins a Super Bowl in that time is Nick Foles. That's just weird as hell. That'd be something else.
You ready to move on to our divisional picks?
Yep, let's roll. Let's roll, brother.
All right. Hold on. So first game, Texans at the Ravens. The Ravens are 9.5-point favorites with a 43.5 over under.
I mean, as I said earlier, if Stroud pulls this off, what the bleep? But I just don't see it. Lamar, as I've been on Lamar since before the year. I've been on the Ravens since before the year. I still think like every loss was just so stupid. Like you can always argue teams should have won games, but every loss for the Ravens.
Well, they had a
was
lead
so
in going to the fourth quarter of every game.
Yes. So I'm all in on the Ravens. I think they'll take this. Covering is tough, but I think there's a they may hold the Texans to single digits. I may want to check like a FanDuel, like where you just bet the Texans points, like alt 10 and a half to be safe. So I think Ravens cover.
If Texans are fully healthy, like if they had tanked down Noah Brown, I think they would easily cover this line.
Mm-hmm.
It's really tough though with the injuries. I think Ravens win this game. I think the only conversation is if you take them covering or not.
I have them covering, yeah.
I mean, they have to win by 10 points. I'll probably say Ravens cover.
I mean, there's one close game in the playoffs.
But would I be surprised though if Texans came out just firing all cylinders and Ravens kind of they get taken aback? I'm not saying Ravens would lose. I'm saying they could turn into a dogfight early on.
I like my coach in Baltimore. You have Harbaugh.
Yeah,
the Texans over-under in points is 16.5. You can't alt it, but I like 16.5. Under.
Yeah, it's tough. They don't have a lot of healthy receivers. It's just Nico Collins.
Yeah, I think I'm about to make a parlay once we're done.
All right. Next game.
Under points.
Another game with the same exact point spread. Packers at 49ers. The spread is 9.5, and the over-under is 50.5.
Okay, I think about everything I just said about Ravens Texans, I can say like the exact same stuff. The only thing is Lamar is much more proven than Purdy, but McCaffrey, all these studs, Kittle, Debo, Ayuk. I'm feeling pretty good that Niners, they maybe slow down. I like Jordan Love. They slow it down a little with this game. It's my gut call. So I think they also cover.
I think Green Bay, their run defense may get exposed this week.
That's true, yes.
Cowboys weren't really able to exploit that. And another thing about the Packers, I said this before when we made our picks last week. I said Jordan Love's a really good quarterback, but you definitely want to get the run game going to open up the play action game. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do that against this 49ers front seven. So if they struggle on the ground and can't really get things going, you could see Jordan Love force a few throws and be put in situations where he has to carry the team, which at this point, I'm not sure if he can carry the team. He's still really good. I think if he's pushed into these situations early on in the game, we could see turnover-worthy plays. It's tough because I want to take Packers plus 9.5, but 49ers off a bye clearly have way more talent, just like veteran talent as well, on both sides of the ball. I'd probably take 49ers. I'm going to say 49ers I think Packers cover. I'm going to say 49ers 30, Packers 23. I think that's where I think. So I think they barely cover.
Also, Packers total points is at 20.5. Another under I'll take.
I'll take the under, okay. Next game.
20.5? I mean, that's kind of tough.
Buccaneers at Lions. Lions 6.5-point favorites, and the over-under is 48.5.
I feel dumb taking 3 overs, but I have Lions winning. I probably have them. See, but Tampa could backdoor cover, as we we're talking about with the Lions. But I feel like, okay, besides covering, let's bet the game. I like Lions. I think they'll get to an early start. Aiden Hutchinson's playing insane. I remember people started thinking he was overrated because his sack numbers weren't too high. Then he just comes out, and last 3 weeks he's been nuts. So I like Lions. I think that this will be a nice defensive game from them. They'll get maybe a pick in there, sack. I think I like the Lions here, and I think I like them pretty well. If they cover, who knows with how they screw things up at the end. But I feel pretty confident in the Lions. I don't know if Tampa's defense is fully ready. Because the Eagles' offense, even though it was bad, like they moved the ball a little. Like Devontae Smith killed them.
Yeah, Tampa Bay's pass defense is not. Both these pass defenses are not good, but I think I would give Detroit a way better shot of dominating that pass game against the other defense.
Yeah.
I think the last time these two teams played, the Lions won 20-6.
Oh yeah, they
Jared
did.
Goff and Amon-Ra had their way with the defense. I think this is another game where I would take the under. This feels like a game like 23-13 or 27-13. I think Lions cover. Of course, there could be a backdoor cover, but I think the Lions, I think they're clearly the better team. Buccaneers, they didn't get a free win. They still had to beat the Eagles, but the Eagles were sleepwalking. I think they're, you're on the road now, and that stadium in Detroit is going to be rocking.
Yeah.
I think Lions, there is a chance for a blowout here, but I don't think they necessarily blow them out. But I do think they have control throughout the entire game.
I'd agree.
Last game of the week, our Chiefs at the Bills. Bills are -3 and over-unders 45.5. I think I saw a report where weather is supposed to be – they're supposed to get a snowstorm before, like during the week.
Okay, I think that report was wrong. Was that just like a tweet you saw? Because I think people are.
No,
saying
I swear I saw like snow, like that they'll like during the week they would be not like. I'm not saying like the last week, but
okay. Let me look it up.
Just some weather.
It's supposed to snow tomorrow, but that's it. As by the quick Google search, snow tomorrow.
But I mean, in Buffalo, you never know what this. It could be snowing all day.
Yeah, it says it's supposed to start at like 10, 11-ish. At least go into late afternoon to at least 6. So maybe
it could be. I think the field will be fine for the game. I mean, Sunday night they'll get the field cleaned off.
They got those people shoveling.
At this point, it's just how cold will the game be?
Which is awesome. By the way, that's I would so go and shovel. $20 an hour, free food, free ticket. Hell yeah, that's awesome.
Would you want to sit like in because this were the stands still filled with snow that last game? Were they still
I think
or not
yeah,
filled, but they saw snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. $20 an hour, that's not bad. Not bad to shovel some snow.
Not bad for shoveling and probably having fun.
I think it'd be fun.
Free food.
Yeah. I think
dress warmly and you're okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now let's go on with our picks now. Enough about snow shoveling.
Oh, but that's kind of cool. But okay. You go first.
This game, I think, is going to come down to Chiefs defense versus the Bills offense. I think Chiefs should be able to. They're not. I'm not saying they're going to light the scoreboard, but they should have a pretty solid day offensively. I think for the Chiefs, if you can hold Josh Allen in the pocket, which I know it's a very tough task, he probably won't do that. But if you could limit the explosive plays that he makes and the plays where he's rolling out on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, throwing across his body, I give the Chiefs a good chance. I think Bills need to stay to who they are and who they've been the last 6-7 weeks. Run the football, take care of the football, don't force anything. Will Josh Allen follow that, or will the moment make him want to force some of these throws and make some extraordinary plays? I think Chiefs win this one. I think losing the first matchup, I think Chiefs are going to make adjustments to that game. There's no Nick Bolton. There's no Willie Gay. And now the Chiefs have 2 days of extra rest coming into this game. The Bills got beat up the last game, more defensive injuries. I think Chiefs win this one, 23-20, somewhere in that ballpark.
I mean, I'm not putting too much into the other game. I think these teams know each other at this point, so it's just whoever wins what day. But the way I feel about this, it's so tough. I think this is like Rams-Lions, and maybe to a T, like Rams-Lions. I think this is so good for the NFL, obviously, but I got Bills like low 20s each team. 24-23 maybe, like Rams-Lions, but like 24-20, 23-20, 23-21, 24-21. I think both teams are in the 20 to 24 range. But I have Buffalo, but man, it's tough. It's tough. I have Buffalo barely. I think
this game may come down to whoever gets ball last as well.
I don't think that the Chiefs have enough on offense. I just don't. I like Rice.
I mean, the thing with the Bills,
I just don't think it's not enough. It's
there's no
not
Gabe
enough.
Davis, which I don't think he's that great weapon. There's no Gabe Davis. I mean, I don't think their weapons are
But
that
here's
fantastic
the
either
thing.
outside
Okay, both
Diggs.
teams can run with Pacheco, and Mahomes does run, but Allen has this whole other element
No, that's what I'm
that
saying. That element
I think
the
they
Chiefs defense
just
has to stop that. If that gets out of hand and you're getting constant 3rd and 7 conversions by Josh Allen just running around and making cross the field throws,
yeah.
it's going to start slowing down his Chiefs pass
I mean,
rush.
you have Kincaid and Knox. Kincaid's getting into his own. Shakir looks a lot better. Remember
Yeah,
drafting him in Dynasty? He took a little while. Now he's not on our
yeah,
team, but I have him in my head when I picture it. I just picture Bills win, but it's gonna be a close one. I think it's gonna be a nail biter Sunday night. Thank goodness I don't have class Monday, so I can sort of, if I have to, sleep in a little more. Even though I'm trying to wake up, hit the gym, but maybe I get a really good workout in because of it. But yeah, very close. It's gonna be a good one. I think it'll
yeah.
be kind of a classic-ish, not in the same way the last Chiefs Bills playoff game was. I don't think that's ever getting done again in that fashion.
Chiefs have not. They've allowed one 30-point game in the last 2 years. It
Well,
hasn't been
yeah,
a Super Bowl.
I
That's what I'm
don't
saying.
think.
I don't think it's gonna be like that.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if Chiefs even allow like 21, but we'll
I don't
see.
know.
I think
I think Bills get in the 20s.
it'll be a really interesting game. I think divisional round. I think it's gonna be really good in general. Chiefs game, last game of the week, so Sunday night could be a little rough. Could be a rough drive home after that game, but I still think Chiefs win the game. But playoffs. I think it should be much better than the wild card round. I think the wild card round was kind of.
I don't know. I mean, I think Niners and Ravens each handle their business so well that those two games are kind of washes. And I think Lions hold firm. I think it's actually more similar to a wild card round, whereas all the other games
I'm
like
hoping not.
and
I'm hoping
then
not.
the Bills Chiefs will be Lions Rams. That's my opinion. And then the title games and my Bills or Chiefs against Ravens, I think either's great. And then Niners versus Lions, I think it would be fantastic.
I think Buccaneers cannot. If Buccaneers win, the NFC
Okay.
Championship game may be.
As long as the Lions win and the Ravens win, the championship game should be good. Because if Packers beat Niners, like you're just like, first off, you're like, what the hell? But then it's like Lions Packers is good. Like that's cool in division. And I think Ravens against Chiefs or Bills is great.
I think Houston against Chiefs or Bills. I think could be interesting as well.
I guess yeah, if Houston were to win it, but I'd still be a little disappointed. I want to see Lamar in a title game this year. From not my Chiefs fan part of me, because my Chiefs fan part is me. It says let's go against Stroud, but pure NFL standpoint, Lamar having to beat Allen or Mahomes to make his first Super Bowl, I think that's storyline. And if that doesn't happen, you kind of look at it like, geez, that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah. So that will do it for our episode for this week. We'll be back next week with divisional reactions, AFC and NFC title game predictions. As always, make sure to subscribe to the video, like the video. We're also on Spotify now, and I'll include the Spotify link in our YouTube link. So make sure to listen on both platforms. And as always, we appreciate you guys listening, and always leave comments as well.
Peace.